In a remote small mountain village in Korea in 1999, a twin pregnant woman is suffering from a miscarriage. When her younger sister was born, everyone was shocked. All they saw was her legs, flesh, and bones. It seemed to be bitten by something. It's all her sister's fault. When she was a mother, her twin sister ate her sister's food every day, and she had black hair all over her body. When the whole family didn't know what to do, the doctor said that she would die soon. She wouldn't live long. The mother didn't even look at her child after giving birth. Her face was full of tears. A month later, her father committed suicide with a strange smile on his face. Because of her sister's adoption, her sister had a miscarriage for the rest of her life. Her personality became self-abased. However, her sister didn't die, but lived a strange life. She was like a disaster. There was always a disaster wherever they moved. The second half of their life was either moving or moving. They moved to a half-mountain village far away from the village this time. Something strange happened shortly after they moved. The birds gathered in the sky. Something big seemed to happen. There was a ritual under the mountain at that time, because the cattle in the cattle farm suddenly died. Even if the witch has various magic traps, only the last head of the witch fell in front of her. At that time, the witch also felt the strange smell from the opposite hillside. She led everyone to the mountain demon with a fierce look. They wanted to find out the truth, and the girl's family's approach was to close the windows of the house and pull in the curtains. No matter how they knocked and inquired, a few people hid in the house silently. They have been watching from a distance. This happens every time. They moved to a place. Grandparents were so sad that they raised their sisters. The elder sister was locked in a dark house full of spells. At night, the witch and her sister came to the small courtyard. When they entered the house, they were startled by a bunch of crows. Suddenly, a baby's cry was heard in the darkness. The voice was strange. People heard it and ran away. The two of them ran forward with courage. Suddenly, they stopped, and the witch looked down. A venomous snake was ready to attack. The venomous snake kept crawling out of the house. The two of them were completely frightened. The man dragged the witch out of the house in a daze, and these snakes seemed to be guarding something. After a while, a car accident in the tunnel together caught the attention of the police. In the crushed stone wall, there was a young woman's body. What's more strange is that the body didn't rot, but it just dried up. Through the forensic examination of the body, it was found that there were red beans in the victim's mouth and torn pieces of paper, and not long ago, there seemed to be many similar cases. But what exactly does this mean? He didn't know. Because the tunnel had just been attacked, it was not difficult to find the person in charge of the project. Soon, the police locked the target in a religion called Lu Ye Yuan. This organization is very strange. Because the Korean society is very unstable, there are often many criminal gangs who use the name of religion to deceive money and color. But Lu Ye Yuan is like a stream. Not only does he not charge any fee for his followers, but he also helps his followers who are in trouble to get through the difficulties. Even in education, he also performs very well and generously. There is no flaw to be found. However, it is precisely this kind of perfection that aroused the vigilance of the pastor, Piao Xiong-chai. He has been investigating the Star Religious group for 10 years. At first glance, he can see the strangeness hidden under the outer garment of perfection. It is clear that it is a Buddhist organization. But Lu Ye Yuan worships neither the Buddha nor the Bodhisattva, but a general. This incomprehensible statement instantly aroused men's suspicion. So the next morning, he found a Buddhist association and reported to the 3 monks about Lu Ye Yuan's situation. He was ready to ask for a large amount of investigation funds. But because of the lack of evidence, several people thought that he was thinking too much. Maybe the existence of this organization was just to make an example for society. Fortunately, one of the monks was a Buddhist student. He did not look down on men's doubts, but gave him a living one. As long as you find a violation of the content, the association will have a legitimate excuse to put pressure on him. In order to get more information about this organization, he asked his subordinates to join this church. As a result, he really heard an important clue. Lu Yeyuan has 4 scriptures. The last prophecy in the book mentioned that there will be 81 demon soldiers and said that snakes are the evil of the world and threaten the existence of goodwill. Their arrival will only bring disaster to people. However, with the in-depth investigation, Jin slowly revealed the true face of this pseudo-Buddhist group. At night, Jin sneaked into the room of this organization. Jin found that the wall was full of pictures of the 4 great kings, and there was a strange scripture on the table. The next day, Jin took the scripture to a monk and was going to ask him to help solve it. After the monk's investigation, the first half of the book was not different from the ordinary scripture, but the second half was the content he had never seen. It records that there will be 81 demon soldiers in the future. The last few pages of the book. According to Gao Song's recommendation, Jin found the highest rank of the local class. He told Jin that the author of this scripture is called Jin Dishi. He was born in 1899 and was once a recognized master in Buddhism. He is also the closest human being to Buddhism so far. But the strange thing is that in 1985, at the peak of the church, he suddenly announced his dissolution. The reason is that he is still writing scriptures in seclusion. Since then, no one has seen his true face. But why did the founder of the Korean Orientalism write a scripture for Lu Yeyuan, whose name is not written in the scriptures, and the monk wants to get rid of Jin Dishi? But it is difficult to say whether he is still alive, because Jin Dishi was born in 1899 and is now 116 years old. It is very likely that he will be exiled. At this time, the assistant noticed that in the report collected by the Buddhist Association at that time, there was news that Jin Dishi sponsored a juvenile detention center, and the suspect who jumped off the building before was also a juvenile offender of the juvenile detention center. So the pastor went to the juvenile detention center. Later, he heard from the director that the juvenile detention center, which is called Dishi Hall, was donated by Jin Dishi 20 years ago. Jin Dishi is also a very good person recognized by the world. Not only did he treat the children in the prison as his own sons, but also adopted 4 young men who committed serious crimes. He raised them by himself and looked at the boy in the photo. The pastor instantly realized that things were not going well because the lives of these 4 young men had appeared in Lu Yeyuan's sutra. According to the case where their names match, it is obvious that the 4 people correspond to the 4 kings mentioned in the text of Jin Dishi: Qi Guo, Zheng Zhang, Guang Mu, and Duo Wen. After repeated cross-examination and speculation, the pastor said directly that 3 of them had died. So in the photo sent by Lu Yeyuan, there is a halo on the head of the 3 kings. In order to confirm his own guess, he confirmed the deaths of these 3 people. Duo Wen died in 1999 in the arson case of the juvenile detention center. At that time, not only the mothers inside were killed, but also many children were buried alive. Then it was Zheng Zhang who died in Canada. After killing Han Yi's family without warning, he was arrested in the escape and hanged himself in the detention center. And the female middle school student who recently got up was killed in the tunnel. The suspect, Qi Guo, also hanged himself after his identity was exposed. 3 tragic cases, 3 different ways of death, obviously have nothing to do with each other. So the police refused to connect the cases, but the pastor was sure that this was not a coincidence. Now, the 4 kings only have Guang Mu alive. And who is his next target? The pastor did not know. On the other hand, Guang Mu went to his twin sister's house, but as he slowly approached the house, the demon sister in the backyard seemed to notice something. She came to the door and sang gently. The birds rushed to the sky and began to hover. At this time, the man took out the cursed red rope. When he was about to take action, he suddenly heard a sound behind him. Then more and more birds rushed to the sky. This bloody scene shocked his sister and Guangmu. And soon, Guangmu found the same thing behind the iron door. When he took off his body and looked from the door, he happened to look at his sister's blood-red eyes. Guangmu was shocked. Suddenly, a hand full of black hair grabbed him again. He was scared. He couldn't help but be confused about his behavior. Atai and Dong Zhe studied the scriptures of the pastor all day. On this day, they broke the beacon, which is often mentioned in the scriptures. The beacon is called Mile in the Korean, Buddhist world. And Mile is also called the future Buddha. In Christianity, the similar thing is the Lord. And the four heavenly kings protect Mile. And it is repeatedly mentioned in the scriptures that the snake will trample the starry sky. And what does the snake mean? This confused the two. Then Atai called the monk's brother. After the brother heard it, he was also in a daze and couldn't figure it out, and he told Atai that he was approaching the Tibetan Lama, so he hung up the phone in a hurry. The two drove to the side of the suburb. Under the arrangement of the monk's brother, Atai met the Tibetan Lama. The Lama told him that he was also very surprised when he saw the Golden Emperor. He is Mile, also the incarnation of the Buddha. After experiencing a mishap, he will fly to the Buddha. From then on, the Buddhists have been saved by the Buddhists. The Lama also recalled that he had seen the Golden Emperor. It is close to the perfect 12 fingers, and the smell of his body. Then one of his words even surprised Atai and the monk. The Lama said that the light is still on. It has never been extinguished. This is the heart of the Korean Buddhism. The Lama said that he had given him a prediction. He will meet his heaven and earth in 100 years. And he told him in a vague way, the heaven and earth will be born in the place where the light is on, and extinguish the light. That day, it will be extinguished. Commonly speaking, his enemy will come to the place where he was born, and he will kill the Golden Emperor indirectly or indirectly because of his mission. Then Atai asked what the number in the scripture meant. The Lama did not understand. Lohan drove to a suburban manor. This is also the headquarters of the deer hunter. The old man lying on the sick bed is the Golden Emperor. At this time, he is relying on various instruments to maintain his life. The great disciple of Ching Chuan told Lohan that the light was about to be extinguished. Let him quickly solve the snake. Lohan looked at the corpse on the sickbed. Let him recall the scene of that year. After Lohan killed his father, he was locked up in the Shaoguan temple. At that time, he was lonely. He lived in self-pity every day. Until one day, an old man appeared. He rescued him from the dark prison. However, his sister's body was also changing. Hair growing all over the body was gradually retreating. The skin of the whole body also has the effect of darkening. It seems that he is facing the Golden Emperor. At the same time, the yellow hair coming out of the Golden Emperor's room has already tied his twin sister to the yard, and just when he was about to take action after the ceremony, Xiao Hui calmly said to the yellow hair, "My family really has a ghost. I have a twin sister because she was born with me." Hearing this, the yellow hair was confused. The monster he saw that day was also born in that year. Because the sister at that time was an ominous creature, so the Golden Emperor didn't find out his identity. It seems that the devil they have been looking for is the monster locked in the dark room. Then the yellow hair released Xiao Hui, ready to get rid of her sister, but when the yellow hair broke the chain and walked in, he was stunned by the scene in front of him. "Why is it taking so long to come here?" he told the yellow hair, that he was the real Buddha, and the Golden Emperor was the devil. Then he reached out his hands and showed his 12 fingers that symbolize becoming a Buddha, and let him go and check if the Golden Emperor was like him. Seeing this, the yellow hair finally wavered. In order to verify what the other party said, He came to the Golden Emperor's room again, but he found that his hand didn't have 6 fingers. The big brother, who went out at that time, also rushed over. Faced with the question of the yellow hair, the big brother didn't say a word and shot directly. After solving the yellow hair, the big brother came to the Golden Emperor's room again. But at that time, he didn't know that the Golden Emperor had followed the yellow hair and came here. Then the big brother was ready to kill the twins in person, and the Golden Emperor took the opportunity to save the seriously injured yellow hair. Several people also quickly drove to the direction of the big brother. Soon the Golden Emperor caught up with him at a crossroad. Then he deliberately pretended to chase him and was ready to drag the big brother. Seeing that the other party wanted to leave, the Golden Emperor shouted in a hurry. Then the Golden Emperor, Kim Tae-sang. It turned out that just now, the Golden Emperor overheard the conversation between the two people. The old man lying in bed actually called him master. It seems that the real Golden Emperor's room is the big brother. The great prophet is right. The 116-year-old Golden Emperor's room has long been out of the flesh, and he also has 12 fingers in his hand. Suddenly, the Golden Emperor's room driving the car smelled of blood. It turned out that the yellow hair quietly sneaked into the car. He grabbed the Golden Emperor's neck with one hand and was ready to eradicate the devil completely. Then the car was out of control and overturned. After returning to peace, the Golden Emperor's room came out unscathed. But at this time, the dead yellow hair suddenly woke up. He seemed to feel the call of his sister. He took out the lighter on his body and lit the gasoline on the ground. Soon the fire was burned on the Golden Emperor's room. As the Golden Emperor's room fell, the sister on the other side also closed her eyes forever. The story ends here. It turned out that what the prophet said to the Golden Emperor's room was a test for him. Because in the complicated world, everything has to do with him. The prophecy itself has no effect. It's just that the Golden Emperor's room was killed immediately after hearing it. In fact, the sister's appearance is not his enemy.